Hello, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Good Morning Education Show. My name is Rotimi Eyitayo. Welcome, and such a pleasure to have you all here. And we are excited to be here once again. It's a Friday, the 27th of August 2021. Absolutely excited that this is the last Friday of the month of August in 2021. It's going to be a great time. If you just join us for the first time, well, thank you for joining. Thank you to Purity Susan for joining. Thank you, everyone, for always being there. This is the Good Morning Education Show. A bell of blessing to our loyal tribe members, a bell of blessing to everyone who's joined us and will continuously join us. Please do tell us your name, tell us your location, where you're streaming from. We'd like to know, we'd like to hear from you, we'd like to say thank you for joining. And on the show, we always spend time to discuss issues that bother around the concerns of education. And when we say education, we're not just talking about schools, we're talking about the 9 years of education, the value chain of education. And we always ensure that we take comments from our audience online, and we also take questions as well. So if you have a question, please do not hesitate to ask us your questions. Send in your questions, drop in your comments. We will take them, especially with regards to the conversation of the day. And today we're going to be having an interesting conversation. The topic is very engaging, very insightful, and of course, I believe you will learn one or two things because on the show, we learn together, we share together because we always want to grow together. And our saying on the show consistently is that it's always a great morning for us. It's always a great morning for you. It's always a great morning for everyone. Thank you for joining. And of course, we will be welcoming one of our analysts on the show. Without wasting much time, let's welcome Dr. Fee Folu Falodun. Good morning. How are you today?
Good morning,
Just give
and
me a
it's
smile.
I didn't hear that.
Please give us the Good Morning Education Show smile.
Yes. Thank God it's Friday. It's awesome to be here again today, and it's beautiful to know that yes, we are at the end of the week. This week seemed to have gone really, really fast.
It's one of the fastest weeks of the year, you might want to say.
Well, so far.
All right, so since it's a fast week, so let's make it a fast show. So we're going straight over to the headlines because on the Good Morning Education Show, we spend time to talk about news within and around the world of education. And I'm sure you would like to hear and notice what's going on. All right, so we're going to start with River State. Let's take you down a trip to South morning. Once again, thank you, Purity Susan. A bell of blessing for you for joining. And I would really like to know where Susan's location is so we can recognize Susan. Thank you, Susan. Thank you for joining. All right. So our first headline this morning is from um, and this is it. We have Rivers University suspend lecturer for over sex for grade scandal. Being follow over to
Well,
you.
going through the body of that news, first of all, it's heartwarming to see that universities are beginning to take sex for grades seriously. Initially, students who were victims of this did not speak out because they would be victimized. Some of them would still repeat or have carryovers and all of that, and they were not speaking out. But I believe that that BBC report that was done, was it last year, has really opened the door for more students to speak about these things. And universities that are not that maybe turn a blind eye to the issue now are seen as condoning a practice that is not okay. The only issue I have with this is this lecturer is suspended, even though they said he was caught on, there was a recording that the students presented, but he's suspended and he's still being paid half salaries. Why is he still being paid half salary? That's my question. And one other thing that the university did that is also worthy of commendation is that all the papers that he graded will be regraded or are being regraded, conference style, and then all the students he's supervising have been reassigned to other supervisors. So really, that is good thinking. That is them being responsive. But the part of it I don't agree with is him still being on salary. Why?
Well, I think that you have a personal vendetta on the subject matter that you want to take his salary away. Well, we'll leave that to you and the school and the man.
Nah, nah,
Good
nah.
luck.
Not interested in this at all. No one.
All right. Uh, so we need to get to the next headline. Remember, it's a fast show, so we don't want to spend too much time in the South. So let's take a step further, and then let's look at another news. And I'm sure this one will definitely require some measure of attention. And this is going up north. So from South, we're going straight up north. I want to look at a reality that is happening right now. Zamfara College of Education confirms letter of threat from bandits. Letter of from bandits.
It's sad. There was a time when it was commonplace for bandits, armed robbers, to write letters to individuals, to estates, and say, "Oh, we're coming," and they would. Now this has extended, or this is extending to our institutions of learning, to our higher institutions, and it's very saddening. This letter made the rounds. The provost is only confirming that the letter is not false and that it's not it didn't just originate online. It's not a joke, that it's true. And this is really alarming. I'm still on the point that the security and the safety of lives and property within the confines of a nation, of a country, is a responsibility, is sole responsibility of the government. And if this is allowed to slip like this, they have written a letter, and they have given, they have issued, well, their warning in quotes. If to go like this, then I fear that it's going to open the door for more of these things to happen, especially in the north, where already there is there is a war declared on education. So the government, and I think at this point in time, we would be we would not be facing reality if we're expecting the federal government to be the first responders here. I think the state government should be the first responder. Look, protecting this college of education, the students, the lecturers, the staff, everyone who is there, and not just protecting them for now, but ensuring that every other institution they have, including schools, secondary schools, because if they try this with the college of education and it doesn't work, they can go back to, they can start sending letters to secondary schools and all of that. Government needs to wake up to this, and the lives of these people are secured, and that nobody is afraid to go to school.
Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, because I thought we lost you there.
No, I'm done.
Okay. Um, so there's a rising concern by this because we also know that when it comes to security concerns, it's not just the surface that we should be concerned about. So a letter to a college of education is not just the letter that we should be worried about. It's a lot of things that are unspoken about this, meaning that it's looking like an established profile where you can almost say that education community or education institution or education management are a prime choice. That's one. Then you could also infer that it is something that will also gather a lot of attention and also can be traced as a name blame issue. What I mean is this. So if you look at it, the people within the College of Education, they are coming from mixture of people. They have families, they have family ties. So if anything happens to such people, the pressure and probably the vulnerability is higher. So if there's any issue like ransom, there might be a possibility of having success. You know, all those kind of things. I'm just trying, I'm not saying that that's what it is, but these are things that it's almost like going to a point where you are seeing that an education institution or the education community is now like an endangered species. I don't know. Phil, do you agree with what I just said?
Yes, yes. And really should not be. It should not be.
Well, let's move over to the next. 6 uni Abuja students get 1.7 million research in grant. Being over to you.
Okay, so we have been talking about research, development for teachers, for lecturers, for students, and this is a good one by the University of Abuja. It's the vice chancellor is quoted to have said their goal is to ensure that whatever is done as research, the industry will pick it up and develop it further for the betterment of the society. So for the Center for Undergraduate Research Fund at the University of Abuja has done, this is an encouraging move. I don't even want to be bothered about the amount right now, but the fact that they made this move to award 6 students grants for research and for them to promote development, I think it's a good one. And well, if they have started this, the belief is that they will continue it and that it will grow. That the amount, well, yes, would also grow, and and many more students will be beneficiaries of the grant. And maybe, just maybe, we'll begin to see a turnaround and the turnaround that we want to see in the education system, especially at the tertiary level where students are not expected and we're not expecting that it's just go in there, be dictated notes to, or you write notes from the board, and that's the end of it. No, it really should be about research and development. And yeah, the University of Abuja, good one. And I'll just say they should not rest on their oars. They should keep this going and keep this on.
Okay, I'm sure the next one will hit you not by surprise, but I'm sure you pick your words carefully. Kaduna evacuates stranded students from villages.
Now it's the turn of Kaduna State. Well, for me, really, when this evacuation thing from Unijos and from other institutions in Plateau State, because they extended it to other institutions where they have the indigents in Plateau State. For the first thing for me is good move. You can move people from, parents are sure that their children are safe, where parents know that, oh, this children are being moved away from a hotspot and they're coming home, leave whether home is safe or not, but knowing that, oh, my child is not in harm's way, in obvious harm's way, it gives parents some level of confidence, and they're looking forward to having their children with them. Even for they are mentally, it does something for them that, oh, we are being taken away from these issues that are a threat to our lives and to our security. So good one to Cardinal State. Maybe by tomorrow or by Monday, we would have the number of states evacuating their students from Plateau State would have increased. But apart from this evacuation, on a more serious note, we should be looking more at what are the people that cannot be evacuated? What are people who are citizens of Plateau State? There is nowhere and home is boiling. So what happens to them? So as other states are taking care of their own of their citizens, of their indigent, that's the citizens of their indigents. Yeah, the issue and the fire burning in Plateau State should be doused and put out completely.
Right. Thank you for that. And then we move over to another line, which we had this some time ago, but let's just have it also again. And that's okay,
Yeah,
Bukola
they have this every
calling.
week.
Yeah,
This came up earlier in the week. Well, no further comments.
look for that comment, okay?
No.
So talent calls for daycare centers and workplace.
Yeah, good one, good move. Already, some private institutions, organizations have in-office daycare centers, and if people are taking this seriously, if those who are in the position of making it happen take it seriously, then workplaces are about to experience higher productivity from the female arm of their workforce, and even for the men sometimes, because you find that some men have to leave work to do school runs to pick up their babies from the daycare and maybe take them home or take them to their wives in the office, or some valuable time is lost transporting from here to there, commuting, and all of that. And where a mother has her child within reach, she can easily do a room or maybe go a floor up or a floor down to check on her baby. Mind is more at rest. She's better able to give to give to the institution. So yeah, I'm not surprised that the Minister of Women and she's a mother, she's a woman, she knows how this and how also it's a plus if we're not looking at, oh, what is it going to cost us to set up a daycare center, what's it going to cost us to get minders and to keep the place running, but also looking at what are we going to gain from putting this system in place. Then they should they should embrace it, and maybe if they want to see it as an experiment for a while to check and see how much more the how much more productive.
All right. Thank you for that. It's been an enlightening one, and I think that it's just the best thing that could even happen. So we'll just have a few-second break, and then we'll be right back as we take the topic of the day. Welcome back to the Good Morning Education Show. If you're just joining us, this is the Good Morning Education Show, and the lady you're seeing in the box there is Dr. Fimfolu Falodun, and we conferred that honorary doctorate on her by the power vested in us, by the public domain of education community, number one tribe of education community. We're streaming from Lagos, Nigeria to Africa because it started from West Africa to the entire world. This is the Good Morning Education Show. If you know someone out there who should be listening to us, tell someone to tell someone to tell that someone to be on the show. Thank you for joining, everyone. And we will be having a conversation today that we title, Will Our School Ever Lead the World? Will our school ever lead the world? And of course, there are people out there who represent an organization. This also can be a prototype or a point of contact to say, will your organization ever lead your industry or your sector? But pretty much what we're trying to say is that we need to get to understand that this is a question that is not just for the collective. This is a question for the specific, the selected individuals in the schools, the individual school themselves should be able to ask themselves, with what we are doing, with what we call innovation, with all that we celebrate, with all that we copy, and with all that we practice or pursue, are we actually ever going to leave the world? And I want to start the session with a question. Must we lead the world? Faithful, over to you.
Well, we the world. We don't have to. There are other areas that we can lead, and at different levels, at different strata of our lives and of our demographic, there is a need for leadership. So no, we don't have to lead the world, but we can lead our world. It doesn't have to be the world. Wherever, whatever you have taken as what's that as a territory and say this is our territory, this is our world. For some people, the world is within their local government. So if they want to lead that world, if they want to lead their world, then yeah, go all the way, go ahead. But every cannot lead the world as the world. So we won't always lead the world.
All right, thank you. So I'm going to spice the conversation up a bit. I definitely believe that the school and a school and each school can lead the world. Understand that the school has its own world, but the truth of the matter is the conceptualization of the conversation is this, that when we are addressing that will our school ever lead the world, we are not necessarily talking about the rankings of 1 to 1 million, 1 to 1,000. But we're talking about it from moving from vision to practice. A lot of things that we see in schools today being practiced, being modeled, actually was championed or enabled by some leading schools. What sometimes you would use as benchmark by some qualifying or regulatory bodies, across different times, is a subset of this same factor. And we need to begin to ask ourselves, especially for those of us in Africa, Nigeria to be precise, is that can we ever phantom the reality that we become a model for pursuit, a model for practice, a model for performance? And not just because we are blowing our trumpet or celebrating ourselves by the power or the use of media, but it's the ability to be able to say that we are not just a force to reckon with, we are the first to record with. That's really what the concept is. And I really believe that we need to begin to ask ourselves, what exactly will be the starting point for this to happen? And I want to ask you that question as I welcome Dr. Ugochi, the safety chief, all the way from the United States of America in New York City. Welcome and welcome. Something now, all that hype. Oh, I need to play Dorime for you. Ugochi, are you there? Good morning. Okay, so while we're waiting for a response, I'm feeling.
Good morning, Mr. Rotimi. Good morning, Fame. Good morning to all our listeners.
Good morning, Gucci.
With all my greeting, Ugochi, you didn't even give me any laughter, any just.
I'm so sorry. I didn't even hear the greeting. I just heard the
Hey,
last part while we are waiting for a greeting.
you did not hear.
I'm telling you, I just heard while we are waiting for a
Oh, my
greeting.
public speaking skills that I presented just in the next. Oh, no problem.
My apologies.
It's too late to apologize. All right. So, Fee, answer the question.
Okay, so if I got the question right, what's the first step to schools leading the world? Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. The first step for me would be getting the mission and their purpose right. If their mission has nothing to do with contributing, for some people, they're in school money, they're in school business because that for them is the source of income and it's nothing more than that. They really are not bothered what the outcome is or what the quality of students they is. It's not. But for a school to say, oh, we want to be relevant to contributing to the development of our society, the development of our world, they need to get their vision and their purpose very right and know that the reason we are establishing this institution is because we want to be an integral, we want to be a force to be reckoned with when you talk about contributing to the society. And this will be the yardstick. This will be the foundation on which every decision they make is checked. So when they want to employ teachers, they're looking at, are these teachers going to help us deliver on this vision and on this purpose? When they are in their curriculum, they're looking at the curriculum and asking, is this the right curriculum to help us get to where we're going? Even in their buildings, in the structure, in setting up the physical environment, they're looking at how all of those things would interact to help them deliver on that vision and on the mission that they are on. So for me, it's them getting their purpose right, getting their vision and their mission right. And from there, when they veer off a bit, or when they measure and they realize, oh, we're not on track anymore, or we're not heading in the direction that we really want to go, they're able to recalibrate, they're able to retrace the steps and come back to say, this is where we're going. Our goal is to lead our world, and that is exactly what we're going to do.
Yeah. I like the way you that the first step is to get the vision and mission right. Because really, you can't get the vision and mission right if you don't even have that belief that, because I think belief even precedes vision. I don't know whether I get a point, because we're not talking about having the thought and idea. The belief that you have is what communicates or what gives vision itself the expression. And I want to ask Safety Chick this question. I know that for schools, we're talking about people who are coming from diverse cultures and backgrounds and skill and a lot of things. How can diversity become an enabler in the school, to make them actually achieve their goals or their dreams and, like Folo said, their visions and mission? Yes.
Okay, so diversity can actually make a school, should I say, attractive to people from other climes so that they are willing to also come there. And when you have a school where there are people from different walks of life in different parts of the world, it pushes you to also always make sure that your standard is really high, because you want to provide cutting edge solutions that is useful to these people from different backgrounds. So I think that if from the beginning you have it in mind that you want to cater to a diverse audience, people from all walks of life, people from all parts of the world, it just does something. It's almost like what happens when you have the right vision and mission. So with this one too, you go the extra mile to make sure that your institution caters to this kind of people and it provides the best type of solutions. So yes, I think diversity really plays an important role here, because unconsciously or consciously you are now steadily working towards providing a global solution because of the diverse types of people that you are catering to.
All right. Thank you. um, very much. I think that also from what you just said, then it obviously would bring us back to the question of culture, because culture is most times, how do I call it? Is it culture shapes outcome? So for every school who seeks to do something remarkable within the industry, or better still, you want to be a model to reckon with, and then we need to come to the question of culture. Of course, we are not dealing with culture in this session today, and culture cannot be a conversational dissection. You can't dissect culture by conversation, but I like to take it to painful. Um, so, what should be the perspective and what should be the guiding principle behind a school culture, or behind the culture prevalent in a school that is seeking to lead the world?
Okay, so all of these things are still very interconnected. The culture of a school is based on, or the kind of culture they choose to adopt or that they create for themselves is based on where they're going. So if the school says, oh, we have a culture of promptness, every child that goes through the school, everyone that is a product of the school has to have that time consciousness culture embedded in them. It's because they already know that, look, for you to be a leader or for you to be a an authority, for people to listen to you, you have to have certain values in place. So for the vision where exactly they are going helps them in developing the culture. And Gochi was talking about this the diversity. When we realize that, look, the world we want to lead is not just about our own kind of people. It involves different people. It involves different beliefs, different values, even different cultures from all of that. We're able to form an all-inclusive culture that says every human being is human first before we are divided along the lines of whatever it is that separates us. Skin color, eye color, whatever else it is, length of hair, body shape or size. Before we're split along those lines, what are the things that make us, what are those, what's the essential thing that puts us, that unites us as a people? And then their culture is formed based on that, so that you have students and you have products from such institutions living where they are, living the primary environment where they studied, and they're able to fit into anywhere else in the world to be able to some people have solutions, but they have barriers that will not allow them to even present their solution, because you walk into a place and you say, oh, this person, I don't understand the way he's talking, so automatically they just leave and say, no, I can't do business with this one. Meanwhile, that really might be the person that they need to be pitching that idea to. So if the once the belief is in place, is the belief is right, you have your vision, you have your mission, then we're able to build a culture that also helps to push those things forward and position the school in a place to take leadership positions. Thank you.
Your leadership almost went to a sip in the
It almost
position.
went home.
Yes, you almost sipped the leadership. And this safety ticks, oh shit, one of the days I'll plan fast that it will slip into the ship. All right. So the question I'm going to ask, obviously, will be to safety check, and the how do I put it down? I know that from all that we're saying, at least that I could gain from what you've said so far, means that there could be levels levels of dominance. What would be those levels? How would you share to us? Okay, if I'm leading the world as a school, what are the levels? Because it probably won't just be one thing that you probably are leading the world in. Could you just share one or two with us that could be areas where schools could be leading in the world?
Okay, so the first thing that came to mind as you asked that question is innovation. There are some schools that their major focus is they want to be the ones that are producing students that get into um, tech related fields, or that produce certain innovative solutions. That's all they want. That's it for them. The rest of you can be doing well in other areas, but for them, they just want to be leading in technological advancement, creating things in that area, you know. So that's an area where someone can decide, okay, yes, we want this to be the thing that stands us out, right? For another school, they might say, the level for them could be, we want to produce the highest number of graduates that have a certain class of degree, so maybe that one can be academic excellence. So let's call that academic excellence. So we graduated 200 first class students, or we say or 80% of our graduates got into first grade maybe first grade universities outside the country, so, or we had 80% of our graduates had all A's in their WAEC, that kind of a thing. So for some schools, their own will be like, we may not be great in sports, we may not be great in innovation, but we are great at ensuring academic excellence. If you bring your child here, they will get all A's. So that's that level. Then there are those that they in terms of extra curricular activities, maybe sport, maybe the other kinds of experiences that they want the children to go through as students of that school. That's what sets them apart, because those ones now believe that it's not enough for your child to just come and do very well academically. They need to be well-rounded, so what do we call those ones now? So I always remember me English. So
Curricular fit and mastery.
Sorry, to see the way you have hey good. See the way you've just titled it. I love it. So for those kinds of people now, they will be saying we want well-rounded children. We realize that having your academics done properly is great, but we don't just want you to just be so good academically that in other areas of society you do not really fit in, almost like your head is in the cloud or something, so that's also different. So those are the few things coming top of mind at the moment. Then I know that there might be some schools that they want to be known for promoting culture. That's a very there's a small category of school in that area where they are trying to ensure that we don't lose our culture. We don't lose our culture. And so they ensure that aside the academic rigor that is going on, they infuse aspects of culture. So either they're ensuring that children are learning certain languages, or they are learning certain things about their culture, their roots, where they are coming from, so that by the time they are graduating, they have both sides, you know. So is it possible for one school to be doing great at everything? It's possible, but it might not be as should I say, as efficient. It might not be neat per se, right? That's why some schools will just pick one thing and pour all their energies in that direction, so that the children that come back pass through their institutions, it's obvious to everyone that those children possess that distinction. Yes. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much. And while you were speaking, we had two of our strong analysts join us. We have KK KK in the building, the One Woman Republic. Uh, Welcome to the show. Good
Hi
morning. Thank
everyone.
you for
Thank you so
joining.
much. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good
And then, of
morning to
course, we
everyone in
have
the house.
Olusola Olumide, the president of the
Good morning,
Muslim and Latitude Republic.
good morning to
All right. So we're talking about an interesting subject matter, and I think we need to bring them up on the conversation. Will our school ever lead the world is the topic of discussion. And I'm going to KK, being a school leader, school consultant, also being a resourceful individual, a coach, an enabler, and all that. A polymath, as she would like to call herself. KK, what do you think about the level, or what would you profile, especially for Nigerian schools? Is there a possibility to lead the world, and where would you be looking at that perspective? Where is your dream that Nigerian schools should lead the world in? In what level would you want them to lead the world in? Over to you, KK.
So, just thinking about this, right? The first thing is it's not the schools that lead the world, it's the students that come out of those schools that will lead the world and put those schools on the map. But I mean, just looking at research that says the students who have put themselves on the map, they put themselves on the map for something distinctive, and a lot of times it has to do with how they have solved problems in their own regions, right? So let me use Otto Orodan as an example, right? He's not put on the map for his schools. Of course his alma maters will benefit from these things that he is doing, right? But it's the fact that he has created an industry. He has made educating students from low income backgrounds and undeserving, I beg your pardon, communities. He's put them out there. And that's one thing we know. And after Slum to School, then we started seeing people who were doing work in that area almost like their shoulder pads got higher. Did you understand? So that's what we need to begin to look at, right? We need to begin to say what in our communities has a problem. For example, the girls from Green Springs, it was about kidnapping, right? Again, solving a socioeconomic problem in our community. So what schools, I believe schools need to begin to do is look within Nigeria and say, you know what is that thing that we need to begin to solve for us here, right? But yes, it is possible that the schools can lead, because if you solve a problem in one area, you find that there are many people who have that same problem, right? And so looking for that solution that you have provided puts you on the map, right? But like Safety Chick was saying, the reality is you need to find that one area that where you want to be. And these days it seems to be technology, right? So there's technology, there's also the human skills, right? So people who are good speakers, who are good orators, people who are good writers, basically that communication angle, that's something that schools need to begin to look at as well. Not just creative writing for the sake of writing something on the sheet of paper, but how do you even use creative writing as an orator? Do you understand? That's something that is in high demand right now as well, and we don't have a lot of it out there from where we don't have a lot of it, to be honest, even in a lot of places in the world, right? Another area which Safety Chick talked on as well is culture, right? Again, which is in the area of tourism. So can we have things around tourism, looking at where we have this cultural heritage sites in Nigeria, and actually begin to talk about them, and the students begin to again write about them or create tech tools about them, showing people what it is that we have in the country. I believe that if we begin to focus on those three, you will be shocked at how much they actually put their schools on the map, because it's clear for anybody that can see that, you know what, this is what this school is about. But in terms of cognitive, I don't think that puts anybody anywhere, to be honest. It's that little extra that puts people out there. Thanks. Back to you, Rotimi.
Thank you so much for that lovely submission. Oh, look at KK's face. Let's see your face now. KK looks like a secondary school student, but she has a primary school personality, and she
I
now
know, right?
has
My husband always says, "This is your
a
baby face.
Greek,
You'll be deceiving
A
people."
Greek goddess mentality, and she now has a capitalist.
Gang,
Should I
gang.
continue? Let me not get
Rotimi knows how to arrange English.
I know, right? Good.
I need a cup of coffee.
Yes, I need to make my tea actually. I'm not a
All
coffee
right.
person.
So, you actually open our eyes to something that a lot of people need to accept, and that might lead to my next question. Because when Keke was trying to tell us some things, she said, yes, it's easy for us to say, will our school ever lead the world? It's easy for us to position the consciousness of the school leading the world. But the truth is the students, the outcomes, the products of the school that puts the school on the map, or based on what you're doing with the students, So, which is the question that I'm going to bring to Olusola Olumide, because we know that it's the students that do this. Sometimes we realize that uh, the school has their own agenda. The school has their own interest. What should form that basis? Because, if I like poetry, or if I'm disposed favorably to poetry, I might likely put my children or the students in my school on that path of poetry. So is it meant to be an extension of the personality of the drivers of that school? When I say drivers, I mean the leaders or the people in charge. Or like he said, there's the socio-economic perspective. What should drive the pursuit or the level of choice in leadership, as we've been talking about? Olusola, over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Um, yeah, when we are talking about setting the agenda or the rule for the school, of course, merit should be of priority. We should have the students who are the product in mind. However, the way we have been crafted as human, you cannot separate a man, his message, his method, his mentality. In fact, from his ministry, which is what he's doing in life, not necessarily in ecclesiastical condition now. Our life goal is so you only separate the man having in between the mentality, his method of doing things. So in a way, imperceptibly, our the way we do things, our orientation comes to the fore. Except somebody confront us with that reality, and that's why we have different leadership style. We cannot separate the leadership style from the personality trait. Somebody is a sanguine, maybe the other is a choleric, somebody is phlegmatic. This thing has a way of affecting us. And I think I once said it on the show, the level of a man's reasoning cannot rise above his level of civilization. Are we thinking about now? Or we are thinking about the future. Some want to build suddenly and want an edifice to come out the following day. That's why they cut corners. And there are people who feel this is the right thing. At times, our consumption is a product of our perception, not necessarily the quality of the product. So when I think this is good, why do you think parents force their words? You must be a doctor, you must be a lawyer. To them, they have a kind of picture of who a doctor is, who a lawyer is, forgetting that the child has innate abilities that needs to be nurtured, and let the child become whatever he or she wants to become. And yet he or she will be successful. So merit is necessary. Best global practices is crucial. However, we are showing our society, our culture, our environment, our experiences and exposure to determine how we go about doing our things. So, as good as it is, merit, best global practices, we must also remember that the man, his message, his method, his ministry cannot be separated. So I think this comes into play, and that's why we have to constantly keep learning, listen to others, challenge our own perspective to life, sit down and find out, are there better ways of doing this thing? I shouldn't be overly rigid because I feel this how things should be done. Let other people bring their perception into it. Let's blend it together so that we can have a robust institution that gives us.
I don't know if it's our team. It's Solution is still there.
I was about to say that as well.
I mean, I love what he's saying, right? Which is why
I didn't hear KK.
you
giving
cut
you some
out.
accolades. She was ringing the bell of blessing for you.
Yeah, I mean, just to piggyback off what Dr. Olushola was saying, right? The reality is we do need to be a bit more professional as educators, right? And that's what puts anybody, to be honest with you, on the map, right? I talk to teachers about student profiling, and some of them are looking at me like, what do I mean by student profiling? How won't you understand the fact that you need to profile your students? You need to. And that's what it goes directly to what Olushola was talking about. If we don't profile our students, then we're going to have a problem. Even our teachers, do we have a profile for our teachers? Do you know who the people are teaching on your team are? Even yourself. Some of us don't even understand the fact that we are projecting what we like onto other people or how we feel onto other people, which is why you see a teacher telling you, this child is too noisy. The child is not noisy. They're just a kinesthetic child, right? And you, as the teacher, might be somebody who is very visual. But if that child is auditory, they're going to talk because that's the principal way of learning, which is very different from the way the teachers learn. But we don't do things like that. We don't even talk about things like that. And that is the root of a lot of the problems that we have, right? And so we need to begin to profile our students. When we profile our students and we do something with that profiling, that way you truly can find what that student needs and grow it because you know who that student is. And of course, you can also find their weak areas and also deal with it. But if we don't do that because we just feel we should just go and teach, then there is going to be a problem, right? We're going to be like everybody else because we're not making anybody within our systems to stand out. Back to you.
Thank you so much. And just like Olusha, to believe that sometimes you cannot separate an analyst from his internet, because if your internet is messing up, if your internet is doing anyhow, you will do your comment anyhow. But what you said reminds me of
Ugochi, what are
something
we
that
going to do
happened.
about Miss TV?
I don't know.
You can't separate the TV from you guys. I'm stuck with you. So in secondary school, I think that some of the people that were in charge of us made, and truth be told, those mistakes actually now built us. Let me give you an example. I don't know whether you experience all this, write the names of noisemakers. That was an early time, and some appear in the list of noisemakers out of victimization. It's not that they were making. Teachers don't ask questions, just test, and then they punish immediately. But then, of course, it's this names of noisemakers that led to some men articulating my thoughts as a person. But you beat a child for making noise, and eventually the child becomes a public speaker. That kind of thing. But then another aspect is that I remember when Kiki was saying something about that this child is A, or is this or that. I know that the time that someone who loves music a lot, exposed to music, that term that even though the performance was good, the report card I had that I took home was that he's a good boy but loves to sing fela in class, so so Anyway, let me not expose myself. So basically, in summary, what we are saying is that who is laughing there now? What we're saying is that sometimes people don't see beyond the surface. And to lead the world which we mean by students, or to lead the world as an organization, we need a new pair of eyes. And that's the question I want to take to Finn, right? How can we see right? You mentioned having the right vision, right? How can we see right in the midst of pressure of templates? There's Finnish curriculum, Singaporean curriculum, Austrian. There is spiritual curriculum, there's Venus, there's Tesla curriculum, there's Zuckerberg curriculum,
All everything.
Google Niche curriculum. How do you how do you see well in our own way of putting it?
What I will start with is, if your eye is single, your body will be full of light. Many schools get confused. The schools now are programming themselves according to what parents want. And they forget that they have more than one parent in the school. So if you have to cater to what every parent wants, eventually you lose focus and you lose sight. And that's why I was on a school hunt with somebody, and I heard all sorts of things. I heard all sorts. Ask them, what curriculum do you run? You hear things like British, American, Nigerian, and then I'm wondering, what exactly are you teaching? How are you modeling three curriculums? And I got to a particular school and asked for the curriculum, and that attended to us said, "Oh, give me a minute, I'll print it out for you." And I was wondering, like, okay, this is a new one. And the woman went ahead to print the entire scheme of work for the school. That was our understanding of the curriculum. She printed the entire scheme of work. And when it came out, like, I was wondering, what am I going to do with all of this paper? So if a school doesn't keep a single vision and say, what we want to do is in this, it's when they have a single vision that they can sharpen that vision, keep their sight and their focus on that vision. And when they need to make adjustments, when they need to make improvements, when they need to do upgrades, it's on that. So if you're sticking with American curriculum, stick with it. If you're sticking with Hungarian curriculum, stick with it, and let everybody know that, oh, in this school, this is what they're known for. So once the school carves out its niche and it stays in that place, it has a greater it has a greater propensity of fulfilling its goal and its desires of ruling the world. But when it's chasing all sorts of things around, then the focus is gone, is missing. You don't really know exactly. In fact, it will be difficult for them to measure their progress. So they can't say we've made this progress, because while you're trying to catch up with this aspect, you're also trying to catch up with that aspect, and everything is just scattered. So I would say that for a school to see and to see clearly, your focus single, keep your sight single, and then you're able to, like, Ugochi was listing a number of points and areas where schools can focus on. Pick your struggle. Pick your struggle, sharpen that, focus on it, and ensure that when they mention innovation, the first name that comes to mind, or the first three names that comes to mind, your school is one of them. When they talk about preservation of culture, the first three names that come, your school is one of them. And that way, I believe that focus will be sharpened and will be better managed.
Thank you, Fee. So we will come to the last question that I would
Sorry,
want.
Mr. Rotimi, let me just
Okay.
jump in very quickly on what Finn said. Now, the major problem is that people don't have an understanding of what curriculum is, right? People focus on the scheme of work, right? The scheme of work is part of the curriculum, but it is not everything that the curriculum entails. The curriculum is everything about the school, even including your pedagogy. Sadly, people don't put enough They don't shine the spotlight as they should on pedagogy. No matter how your curriculum is, even if it is crafted in gold, right? It has angels singing around it, there's a halo. If you don't understand how to teach it and what to do with it, then it's rubbish. And that's the major problem that people have. I just wanted to quickly put that in there because, to be honest with you, you can give me a no curriculum and I will teach, right? Because I understand what exactly needs to be done. And that's where, honestly, like she said, we need to pick a focus. You need to understand the fact that it is not just about the paperwork. And that's majorly the problem that we have in this part of the world. We're focusing so much on the paperwork, forgetting the fact that what can you do with the paper in your hand? And that is something that maybe we can have another conversation about that. But that's something that needs to be addressed. Yes. So I just wanted to quickly chip that in. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I thought you were about to sing a song by Beyonce. So when you mentioned Halo, I was like, KK. I thought you were the dancing queen, not the singing queen. So as we bring this to a close, I'd like to ask this question. To every school out there, every school that is future, the future is coming ahead, and what will be that one thing that, especially as people are heading to a new session, what will be that one thing? What would be that one thing that you would recommend that they should focus on? Now, we're not talking about the level of leadership that they choose, but what is that one thing they should focus on as a school, as they prepare for a new session and as they prepare for the coming future? So I'm going to start with Safety Chick, and then I'll move to Olushola Lumide, then I'm coming to KK, and I'll end with Finn.
Okay, so I would say ensure that you have your safety requirements down. That's really critical because we don't want a situation where children come to school and then they are getting injured, they are dying. Nobody should send their child to school and be worried about the child's survival. Education should not be associated with terror, should not be associated with harm. It should not. They're two totally different things. So they should never mix. They should never mix. So parents should not send their child to school and wonder, will my child come back? So when you hear your child was sent to, someone's child was sent to boarding school, and then the child doesn't make it out alive, so it's a cause for concern. So it's reported as we're going back to school, school administrators, school owners, and staff must work together, to see how to ensure that the safety systems they have in school work. It just has to work. You need to have the basics and then ensure it works. So we don't just want you to have your policies written in one book somewhere and that's it. Or you say, oh yes, you have child protection policy, but we've got to see it in action. Do staff know that there are repercussions if they don't do what they're supposed to do? So it's really critical that that safety bit is there. Then of course we are still in a COVID era, so it's really important that you still keep up with the ensuring hand washing, necessary social distancing, and masking as is appropriate. So we must ensure that that's the safety requirements are really done. And then of course, prepare for the academics. We shouldn't resume school and it's time to do something and hey, we forgot, or as if we're not ready. For Christ's sake, we had this vacation period to prepare. So it's really important that we've structured our academic calendar, we've structured the activities that are going to follow, that are going to be part of it to ensure that our children have a wholesome experience. If parents are paying for a service, it's really important that they get it in good quality. And no matter what level you are on the radar, because I know some will say, it's only A-grade schools that can afford certain things. Even within your low-income school, there are certain things you can improvise and get it done. So that is also critical. And then now it's now becoming more important that we factor in the mental well-being of teachers and children. Okay, so I'm going to edit that to not just say teachers, staff, because many times when we talk about safety, we're all thinking about the children, but we forget that there are staff that these children are going to interact with. So this mental health well-being, or let me just call it psychosocial support, should cascade across both staff and students in a school. So if you've not thought about it before, now is a good time to begin to think, how do we integrate that into what we do? Do we need to get certain professionals to just show up and have a session with our children and have another session with our teachers? Or do we introduce certain activities weekly or monthly, so that it gives people that opportunity to decompress, and just take their mind off the challenges? Because the truth is, the stories in the news are enough to give someone heart attack on a daily basis, and we've got to be very intentional about should I say waiting, tuning out negativity so that it doesn't now begin to affect other areas of our life.
Thank you
Then,
so much.
okay, yeah.
Thank you so,
Back to
so,
you,
so.
Mr.
I asked for one, you gave me 20. But that's what we get on Good Morning Education Show. So very quickly, Dr. Oluchola Olumide.
Thank you very much. I think I also want to write on what City Chika said, the mental well-being of the children, also of the teachers. We shouldn't perpetuate the cycle of hurt. Teachers should be profiled. Keke said that earlier on, students should be profiled. And I think it's high time school pay more attention to this issue of mental well-being. Then the other thing I also want to say is that school should look inward. Learning should be student-centered. What have we not done well in time past? What can we improve? Of course, we know the concept of multiple intelligence. They should look at it. Children should learn, move at their own pace. Everybody doesn't have to understand mathematics and score A. Some, it could be athletics, some it could be English, some it could be social. So we should look at it. What is the weak point? What is the area of strength? Nurture it and get the best. If ever we are going to be in the map of the world, I think our product is the first to showcase us, because that is the end product. That is what's up as our testimonial that we are doing something great. So it should be student-centered, and I hope we are going to have a great session come September. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. KK, over to you.
Yeah, so I mean, amazing conversation always on this show. When I think about what schools could be doing, the first thing that I would say is they need to look at their current student population, right? We really need to begin to look at our current student population and say, what are the needs of this my population? And once you can find the needs of your population, which typically is tied to the needs of your society, especially where you're located, then you would find that once you can meet those needs and move children along that pathway into beginning to see those needs and understanding the fact that they are change agents for those needs, you already create a functional educational system, right? And that honestly puts you on the map. Because guess what? The kind of conversations your students will be having in their homes, people will be wondering, what school are you from? Right? And that in itself is not necessarily because of the accolade, but it is the fact that you're creating students who are culturally and socially relevant. And that's what schools should be about. Schools should always be at the forefront of social economic change, even political change, right? Because of the grooming, the nurturing that is going on within those school settings. But if you as a school, if us as school leaders, if us as educators don't understand our principal place, then we're never going to get it right. So we need to understand, secondly, our place in society as the flag bearers, to be honest with you, of change. And once you understand that, then we would prioritize research and development. We'll prioritize that in our schools. And that will become the springboard from which we even modify or update curricula, which will modify our teaching pedagogy, even our assessment levels. And we will begin to honestly see change because we're doing the right thing that is beneficial for the society in which we operate. Back to you, Mr. Rotimi.
So much, KK. You've actually identified some things and captured them all in one. Sophie,
And as schools prepare to resume for a new session, I would say pay closer attention to differentiation in the classroom. All students don't learn the same way. All students don't learn at the same pace. Pay closer attention to them strong points and fortify their weaknesses. Don't put emphasis on those weaknesses and put that on the front burner. what you emphasize and you stress to the child all the time is what they would see, is what they will continue to believe, is what they will continue to put attention on. So praise them, let them, well, not praise singing, but let them see what they are very good at and what they can still be good at. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. We need to pay close attention to differentiation from thing. We need to understand our principal place in society from KK. We also need to understand the place of functional education, still from KK. Learning must be student-centered from Olushola. And then we should not perpetrate the cycle of hurt. And of course, you heard safety chick captured everything. That number one, you must ensure safety and the requirements of safety is in place. You must ensure that you look at the fact that it's not just for elitist schools. It should be cut across from safety procedures to culture to plan to training to development, so many things. So I'm sure people out there can actually see that, you know, becoming a school that will lead the world is something that you don't just dream about. It's something that you must take conscious steps to work towards. And as you lead in your own world, as you lead through your own world, and make yourself examples, positive examples for others to emulate, you must ensure you do not stay out of functionality. Objectivity is the key word as it is. We must make sure schools are relevant to society. I, for one, will feel that it's time that we have what I call education conspiracy. And we must move from collaboration to conspiracy because that's the fastest track to accelerated development. There must be something we want to be able to say that puts vantage to the people that come out from this climb, or else we will still play catch up, and the world is in such a space that catch up is an elimination strategy. And so we need to get to that point. Probably maybe I'll do like KK, I'll write on that. I'll make a post on that. Yeah. But don't expect me to sing or dance after that post. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a great time. We had a great time this week. We're coming back next week. And guess what? Next week, we have a special announcement. We're starting September in style, and I mean it. You've not seen it. In fact, the Good Morning Education Show is going on another level, And I personally want to follow that example. You will see a Rotimi Eyitayo in September going forward that you've not seen before. We've been quiet for too long.
The dance is coming on.
You're your own.
Oh, shame.
Have a great weekend as we say our payoff line after the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. It's always
a great morning
on the Good Morning
Education Show.
Thank you. So, have a great weekend.
Bye.
Bye.